I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. All I know is I'm going to be up all night, just praying over Shiloh and just getting a really solid plan to just get to this. I need my hat on tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I need my hat on. It's been an absolute mental day, and one that I don't know where to start. A really, really, really lovely morning in terms of in my home with my two boys and my life, as in mine, as in I wake up every day and we have breakfast and we have this world that exists in our home where, you know, I lay on the sofa, cuddle up with my boys and we watch films. And my son's had an accident tonight, by the way, guys. Please bear with me. And the boys were settled watching a film this morning, and I text Brody, the social worker, like literally the first thing at 9 o'clock this morning, to just sort of say, like, you know, is there a decorating grant that I can use? Because literally I've got like a tiny bit of paint. I'm going to be up all night overseeing Shiloh tonight. And I've got just this little bit left to do. So it's like, what, 10, 12 quid a paint pot. But I don't have a pot to piss in until the 18th. This is just the world of universal credits and monthly and budgeting and extra things, you know, with this was meant to be a managed move. And with the whole of the multi-agency, it's like this hasn't been a managed move. Like, even today, I've found out from the housing officer, because obviously I rang Brody, and Brody said they don't do anything like that, and to ask the housing officer. So I spoke to the housing officer. So for those that don't know, any person who's in any form of social housing has a housing officer. So if you're in private rental, then you have the rental agency. And if you have a mortgage, you have your bank. So either way, all they want is your rent paid. So every person in social housing, this isn't just something to do with social care. This is just, if you're in social housing, then you have somebody who makes sure that you've got a point of call. They oversee every person within so many areas and things like that. And they contact you like the landlord if your rent's not paid, or if you've got any repairs, they're your landlord basically. So excuse me, my back is burning and I've had to I thought my son was dead for nearly 2 seconds. I thought my son was dead tonight. Thank God, thank God he is just one strong, courageous little boy. Strong. God. Wow. What a day. What a day. So anyway, I'm still sitting in this room, and obviously I'm still got this issue with, I've waited because I was going to paint with the boys today, but because I've literally only got, you know, a little bit, and I mean it's like the bottom of it, to try to smear it across as far as I can go. And I'm quite lucky. I find paint pots, things like that. All these are found, apart from the one that I said, like when Dean was here, I was like, right, we're getting on with it, yeah. And I literally put the last tenner on a pot of paint. Unfortunately, Asda only had silk, so it's been a bit difficult. But anyway, when I spoke to the housing officer, he said that they still have not changed over my rent payment. This is Universal Credits. So they still haven't changed over my rent payment from my old place to this place. So that basically means that until it's done, I'm classed as not paying my rent. Now, luckily, the housing officer, which is one person, oh, it's my washing machine, knows. I'm just wondering whether Dean's going to turn up, because I've got a feeling his battery's gone. If he doesn't turn up, then he better bloody turn up. I'm basically sitting waiting for him to get here so I can get Shiloh in for just to get checked. I just need him checked right now, thank God. But because there's a head injury involved, and because there's EDS involved, he has to be checked over. It was about 7:30. We went out at 7, and we were meant to be back for about 7:30. And we usually go out at 6:30. That's like the time that we always thought that we would have a dog and we'd go out, and it's like after tea and you go for that nice walk, isn't it? And it's been so nice. It's been so nice. It's been so nice because I've just completely cut off from everything in terms of these expectations of what I feel that I need to try to achieve to make sure that we get this message out and understood and things. And I didn't take my phone out with me as well. Can you fucking believe it? I never not take my phone out. And I just felt that we just wanted that half an hour to ourselves. We just wanted that half an hour without me feeling like I just needed to speak out while we were out. I wanted to go for the walk with my boys, not mummy going on a walk so I can give me some space to do some stuff. I wanted to have that evening with my boys, and I didn't take my phone out. And we have this little grassway just literally at the front here, and it's so nice. It's so nice. And the boys were going up over the hill, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I haven't got my phone with me, I thought, well, my camera wouldn't get this picture that I wanted of the boys. And it was so nice because they go over these 3 mountains of hills, and they've got their little wellies on, and they've got the little raincoats, and Shiloh puts his hood up, and Elijah doesn't. Elijah wants to, like, he'd run around naked if he could. And a friend's praying for me tonight as well, so I might find a lot of energies healing, lifting. I've got a very, 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 I think I have a really wonderful friend that I've met, my Bulgarian connections, and I really like the Bulgarian people. I really do. Polish, Iranian, Iraqian, Slovakian. I just find the British people so unfortunately, the British people have been through this cellular education and 2 sort of steps of it from what we call comprehensive and private education. I get on with gypsies. I've always got on with gypsies. I've always got on with what I call the fallen men. And they're the ones that never really made a life for themselves. And they look like they're 50, 60, 70s, but actually they're probably 40s, 50s, even late 30s, but, have been the drinkers and probably come off drugs and things like that. And they don't really necessarily have a life, so say, but I quite like these people because they end up with a different very education, and actually have quite a lot to say. And we like our walks. We like our walks because I don't really feel at the moment that I have a home that can take the capacity of other people. But when I raised Liam and Daniel, and then obviously Aaron and Faith come into the world. When Aaron was, where Aaron came into the world, before I lost my home and ended up going into different rental and things like that with Stephen. I was in a beautiful home, absolute beautiful home. It was rented, of course it was rented. I've just been trying to work out what that's on my knee, and I've just realised I've got my tights on under trackies, and it's the glittery things. So yeah, we really like our walks because Elijah's so confident. He's so confident, and he says hello to anybody and everybody. And you know, we've got such a different sort of community here because it's a big city. It is a city, but there's like this inter community here in the city to sort of obviously the free flowing traffic that comes in with people coming from London, or obviously people crossing for France, or just the fact that people use Portsmouth as like a holiday place, really. I don't know why. I don't know why people would travel all the way around to come to a place like this. That's absolutely mental. Put your money somewhere else, honey. No, don't. Bring your money to Portsmouth. Bring your money to Portsmouth. Make Portsmouth great again. Ugh, I've no sugar. Put the great back in Portsmouth, eh? So anyway, it was a really great morning in terms of us at home. And then the disappointment for the fact that I've got a bridge financially until the 18th. So I thought, well, while I am actually on children in need, then I might as well utilise what services do exist. Now, the problem is, it's all about budget, isn't it? I know that Tesco's give social services, so do Asda, and so do Marks and Spencer's and many other places, distribute to social care to make sure that there is overflow. So if anybody, this is before food banks, so people understand food banks, they know what food banks are now. Food banks has become something that has become quite a big brand. I even know the first ever person who ever created it. So that's actually been something else. So for people who are considered on children in need, the actual terminology of children in need is any child who is in need of any of the multi-agent services, such as Elijah Shiloh's letter coming in today that says from Children Therapy Services. So just because it says children's therapy, so if I went to a dinner date and with a load of friends and I said, anyway, I've got to go because my boys have got a meeting with the Children Therapy Services tomorrow, most people's minds would think, therapy? Your kids are in therapy? What? Wow, is your kid fucked up or something? It's going to therapy. That's narrow-minded Britishness. And that's the world that we live in here in the UK, that thinks that everything is mental health, everything is crazy and everything is mad. Thank you so much. My friend has just messaged me to say she's just prayed. I can't message her back at the moment, but she might see that I'm on a live. So thank you so much to my friend who's just prayed for Shiloh tonight, who's had an accident under a disability scooter. A disability scooter has run my son over tonight and he's been underneath it. And for I would just like to say a massive big thank you to the Lord tonight, who brought 4 fucking massive big lads. Obviously also not English again. English people wouldn't have bothered, I'm sorry, but they wouldn't have done, especially with COVID. They would have left us stranded. Even an English dog walker wouldn't let my son pat his dog, pat a dog tonight because everybody's wrapped up in COVID. But these 4 lads today come flying down the hill, and I just remember looking at him going, please help me get this off my son. I looked at one of the boys and I said, is he under there? And he said, yeah. I said, please help me I don't know what happened then. I don't know if the guy on the scooter wheeled back or if it was just the fact that I flipped it. I don't know. As in, I flipped the scooter. And I just picked my son up. And I just ran and sat on the floor. And I could feel his heart beating. I could feel him. And he was cuddling into me. He was still crying. He was crying. It was fine. He was crying. And I just looked up to one of the lads and I just said, please just look at his face. Is his face okay? He said, his face is okay. He's got a little cut on the side of his chin. Okay. I said, Shiloh, you okay? And he was crying. It's like, and I do it really quickly because even if my boys fall over, I'm so used to having to check for the slightest of subluxations because you can miss it. Like sometimes a kid will just go like that and push up. And if your kid said my wrist hurt, somebody wouldn't think about this bone. You see that's flapping across, that's your thing, that's your tendon. But within there and runs all the way down that arm is an ulnar bone. And if it flicks out, it's bloody painful. And it happens regularly to EDS kids and EDS adults. So I was so quick to just hug him in, push, squeeze, listening to his cries, making sure that everywhere that I was pressing over his body wasn't making any different sounds, things like that, squeezing his foot, pulling back his toes, just checking his ankles, checking his legs, checking him. And even though I had everybody there, and the boys had just had a shower and got their pyjamas on, and then like we go to bed, do you know what I mean? But obviously we haven't got that routine in place right now because of what's going on with putting their beds up. And it's harder to sort of settle them, so we sort of watch a film on the sofa. I've got the mattresses, they can sleep on the mattresses, that isn't the problem. And then I just made him stand up and then he wobbled and I thought, oh no, shit. All of a sudden the boys grabbed out their phones to like ring an ambulance. And then all of a sudden I went, shit, I've not got my phone. And I sort of reached to ring my phone and it was like, I've not got my phone. So anyway, one of the lads had gone, have you got a first aid kit on you? I've gone, no. And he had already gone and he'd gone to go and get everything that was needed. Luckily, I ended up with one of them who was actually medically trained. So I just stood him up. I looked at him, looked at his eyes, the way doctors, hospitals, everything does. I know how to look for those responses in his eyes. I quickly picked him back up and went under the tunnel. For anyone who knows in Portsmouth, you can even Google it. It's called the Music Sound Garden. And it's like a sensory place. And this is where I take my boys. So you don't really get any photographs or videos because I suppose it's our private personal time as a family. Sometimes I do. I used to when I was on Facebook, but not so much on YouTube. In fact, I was going to do Elijah's first video today because like he's constantly going on about going to London to this school of he knows what he's talking about as well, hip hop and ara something he calls it. He keeps telling me, you know what I mean, Mum. So I'm trying to Google this London School of Hip Hop and something because he seems to understand what it is. So anyway, we went to our little walk here and Elijah wanted to go to see the trains. So literally at the end of our road here, as you've seen on our lives, we've got the train line that runs all the way through here. So Portsmouth train station is this side and Fratton is there. So I've got both Fratton and Portsmouth in literally a stone's throw from me, and I can, it's part of our daily things. So, and we'd already been to the train station today as well because we'd got the maps and things. So we'd gone down to the train station for our morning walk. So we tend to go out between sort of 10 and 11 in the morning. That's the time, sort of more 10 till 11. So we tend to sort of like get ready in the morning and try and get out for sort of 10 because Anybody who understands EDS knows that it comes with diarrhea and constipation. So me and the boys all tend to have opened our bowels sort of usually by 10 o'clock. If not, then sometimes we're having to hang around until 11 and it gets a bit later. But by 11, all three of us have decided whether the motion's going to be solid or fluid. So, and we just sort of know where we're going with our food intake that day. So, um, so it doesn't really matter, even if it's raining, snowing, sunny, whatever, we still go for a walk. If a dog needs a walk, a dog still has to go for a walk. Children are the same. You can't just not go out just because it's raining. I'm just grateful now that my mum's got the welly boots. The jackets came free, by the way. They were actually in a skipping box that I found. Just like the Ralph Lauren stuff that I got the other day. It was in the skip. I couldn't believe it. It's like the Hoover in the skip. Works wonderfully. Amazing Hoover. Perfect. Not even a proper Hoover. It's one of them doodah things. Perfect for me. So anyway, we'd gone to the train station this morning and Elijah was adamant that he needed to go to the London train and he was going to the school of thingamajig. So we went and got a train map, and the boys got like a little badge and stuff off the train people, because everybody around here knows that my children are sort of more, I don't like this word, homeschooled, because Elijah isn't actually of school age per se, sort of. Not legally anyway, not where they sort of start coming in and assessing them and sort of saying, well, what sort of education are they doing, which I really don't have a problem with that. Elijah would baffle you, mate. Absolutely throw you off your feet. Elijah is so loved around here by the people who are locals, like really loved, and so is Shiloh. But Elijah, there's many people who come to Portsmouth and leave with Elijah in their heart. That boy stays in your heart. Once you've met Elijah, he's in your heart for the rest of your life. He's a wonderful little boy. They're both wonderful. All of my children are wonderful. And they are, coming from a mother, they are. None of my kids are out, robbing old grannies. None of my kids are out dealing drugs. None of my kids are out committing crime. None of my kids are out bashing things. None of my kids are out causing delinquents. None of my kids have got ASBOs. None of my kids have got criminal records. None of my kids have, got things, even Liam struggling on an apprentice. Okay, I can't help him out financially. His dad helps him out in terms of his mobile, but even me in these situations, I'm not going into Asda walking out with a pot of paint under my buggy. I'm not walking into Asda stealing my milk on a daily basis to make sure we've got it. I'm not walking into Asda stealing the meat to make sure that we've got meat and 2 veg. I'm not like that. So, integrity and tact and all of that. So anyway, when we went out for our walk this morning, I noticed, so I'd said I'd had the conversation with housing. So I've been whinging to housing about the bins, and I've been saying, look, it's a nightmare because I can't put, I said, it's exactly the same as over at this place. I said, look, I recycle for a start. I said, so I find social housing really difficult, and I've been whinging about this for 10 years since first ever coming into social housing, that recycling in social housing is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, sorry, my neck's just gone and my bag's burning. I just need to go and check Shiloh a minute, 2 seconds. I know he's okay, but I just need to check him. I'm not going to sleep tonight until I've had him checked over. I'm not. It's just to say, oh, bless. No. Let me just check. No, just put you on. That's it. I just needed to see you move, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I just need to make sure you moved. Sorry, I just needed to make sure he moved. I'm going to be like this all night, prodding and poking him. I remember when Daniel came into the world and he was in his crib in the hospital in Lagan Valley in Northern Ireland. And I was trying to go to sleep. But my son was still asleep. And I was like, no, he's still asleep. He's still asleep. No, he's not still asleep. And he slept. And I wish I'd gone to sleep, and I didn't. I was waking up all night just to make sure he was all right. Yeah, so anyway, I thought I did this really good thing. And when we went out, there was a notice on the door saying that our bins were all out the front because they were dealing with a rodent infestation. I was like, yay, wicked, I've done something really good today. This is me, everybody living around here, nobody must have reported it, and I didn't realise that. And in the whole time that I have lived here, me and Elijah and Shiloh have literally been not actually going up to the rats, but interacting in a way, and the rats have become a big part of our lives. We call them the big fat rats. So like when we come past the bin chute, or when we're outside, we watch the rats moving around and things. And obviously, as you know, I own street rats. And then all of a sudden I walked around the corner and I said to Elijah, Elijah, can I ask you a question? I said, what do you think they should do with the big fat rats? And Elijah had the conception that obviously they were just going to catch them and go and put them in a really nice home. And I said to him, you know the pellets that they put out for them? I said, basically, they kill the rats. I said, how do you feel about this? He felt that I was right and they should catch the rats, and then they should maybe go and put the rats in a place where the rats should live. So then I realised that talking to the housing officers about, and he wanted me to grass people up for tipping today. So as much as I was pissed off that everybody else tips and I've got stuck because I've got a couple of bits that I really want to go and put downstairs, and I can now because he's put the bins out the back, so I can actually get them in there quickly. And I'm going to. So I can see people who are and they keep saying, we've got to expand the boxes, haven't we, Kelly? So if anybody knows what Unity in the Community was about, which was before Step Up Britain, before Challenge Britain, it was about expanding the boxes and bridge the gap for change. I feel a little bit okay now because I know my son is definitely okay now. Strong boy. Absolute strong boy. Whew. So when we saw that, it was like, wow, okay, so talking to the housing officer today has actually now, before Christmas, sorted out a really big problem that we have here, and it is a big problem. So that now means that environmental health is now looking for all matters with the rats around here. So Kelly, little Kelly here, has actually done a really good thing for Portsmouth, because Portsmouth is a harbour. So rats is a place that obviously the rats are coming up into the city. And as I said, when lockdown happened and everything was happening, we would have the rat surface. If there was ever a nuclear war, the world would be run by rats. So anyway, when we come home from our walk, because we saw it when we come home on the way back, that's the first walk this morning, I was feeling a bit, oh, hang on a minute. I've done a good thing and I've done a bad thing. I've done a good thing for the humans, but I've done a bad thing for the rats. Blood's now on my hands of the murderers of the rats. So I thought, oh, hang on a minute, Kelly. We've now hit another layer. It's time to bring out street rats and using it as both the rats and the foster care kids, because obviously I set up street rats because of Dean. Because when I first met Dean, that's how Dean perceived himself, a street rat, a foster care kid, a homeless person, somebody who was just a street rat. And I hated that, because there's this projection of Dean and this image, and people can go, oh, it's a normal woman, sees the potential in people. Potential? That man, potential, it's not even potential. He's great. He's great at many things that he does, hence why the boys are so great. He's just not great with dealing with me with EDS and a couple of other things. But, that doesn't make him somebody a bad man, does it? It just means that
if he actually saw the situation that we were in right now, he'd go mental at me. He's going a mental at me over the accident, and I get it, and I get it, and I take it on the chin. Just like Aaron and Faith being taken, people have every right to have a go at me because it was me that lost the children. Whatever happened, I'm the one that they were taken from. So if my son had died tonight, I don't know what the fuck I would have done. I could have never, ever, ever forgiven myself. And more to the point, Elijah wouldn't have forgiven himself because it was his hands on the scooter while standing on, like someone going past on a scooter. We wouldn't have forgiven ourselves if my son hadn't have been crying. It's like that moment, isn't it, when a baby comes into the world and they're not crying. And you think, why is my baby not crying? Because all babies cry when they come into the world. And it's like that moment, you're just waiting to hear that cry. And many people don't hear that cry. Many people never get to hear their child's first cry. Many people. Many people don't even survive to hear their child's first cry. So anyway, on our second trip out today, because of going this morning, Elijah decided that he really did want to go down to the train station. So we thought, oh, okay, it's going to be a little bit of a longer walk. But at the end of the day, we can't necessarily do all this stuff during the day because the world's just too busy and people don't necessarily understand people like me and my kids. And we can't necessarily deal with all the hustle and bustle. We like to just mosey about and do what we want to do because our relationship is with the planet. Our relationships are with the earth. It's with the grass. It's with the trees. It's with the leaves that fall off the trees, the water that makes puddles that my children want to splash in muddy puddles. And we have parks, which actually we make our own parks. You know, we would take this slide and we would turn this in, sorry, not a slide, it could be a slide, but we would turn this and make this into a tent, or we would get the boxes and make the boxes into something. In fact, I think I've even got a box somewhere where we've got milk cartons on the side of it where it's been made into a rocket and things like that. Or, you know, as you can see, my boys have been helping with the painting in here. So, you know, there's a lot that goes on this side of my life that I'm back. Sorry. So anyway, we went down to the train station and we decided to come up over the bridge, which we don't usually do. We usually just come straight back up the hill and come here. So we decided to go over the bridge. Well, I didn't. The boys wanted to, and they let us because usually you've got a tap to say you've paid and go off over the bridge. So that meant it took us a wider way around. But we had a lovely time. We walked past primary school and the boys were walking along the wall and holding my hand. And I was thinking, like, come on, we've got to get, like, back, you know. And I didn't realise how, once you got to the roundabout, how much it had actually taken us back around. And it's like, you know, I deal with this anxiety about my boys being out after 7:30 anyway, especially as sometimes I'll push it to about 9 o'clock and then at weekends sometimes 10 o'clock. But if I was a cultured family, like an EU family, then they're heading off to church at 9 o'clock with their kids. And, you know, and Romanian families are on the park until 10 o'clock at night and then regimented to this education system and children, EastEnders and Coronation Street, and children in being in bed. So then all of a sudden, we come to a bit where I check for trash and treasure, and then the boys decided to leave it and said, oh, it's trash. So we came down, and then he wanted to go under, and I was like, oh, it's not really playtime, we've got to get back. So not a problem. So anyway, we have this sensory garden under it. So it's basically, I can post it up or show you, just Google Portsmouth Music Sound Garden or something like that. And it's got all of these things for children to play music. So anyway, I decided to rush them slightly because I thought, oh, it's not really a hanging around here playtime time. It's like time to get back. And then all of a sudden, this guy had come past on like a disability scooter with his dog, and we were just coming under. So we're under like a tunnel. So there's a way out that way and a way out that way, and then we're in a dome in the middle. So we were already walking out, and me and Elijah and Shiloh were ahead of the scooter because he was like in the dome with his dog. So anyway, he was starting to come up the hill, and Elijah ran down to the hill to him. And then I heard the man say, if your mum doesn't mind. So I know what Elijah would have said is because he go on the scooter. He does this lots. And he does. There's lots of people around here that run Elijah down the park just sitting on his scooter, or just around here. There's lots of people that do it. They've been doing it to him since he could walk, to just check that. Because like on this particular occasion, they were very, very, very swollen, and certainly somebody that needed to be in that chair. And I'm so sorry that actually he pushed himself even further today to actually help and assist to save my son's life. And I think it was our quick reactions and everything that did save my son's life tonight. But then all of a sudden, Shiloh was so excited. He literally ran up the side of them. And I don't know whether or not he'd let Elijah take control of the handles and had his hands on the handles at the same time. And Elijah ran to the side and then ran around. And I thought, oh, I need to be cautious here. So I'd gone up behind Shiloh just to sort of keep Shiloh back. But then all of a sudden, Shiloh darted around the front of it. And then he was gone. He was gone. He was just gone. He was just gone. And then I just saw a shadow of people. I didn't know who it was or whatever. It was just like this big light just come in front of me. And then I was picking my son up and sitting down on the floor and making sure he was okay. And he had a lip. I completely stripped him. I checked everything. And then he'd sort of, I didn't know really what to do. And I didn't have my car because my car's still bump. I've got these arseholes with my car situation. I didn't have my phone. Then I started thinking about social. And then I started thinking about the past. Then I started panicking. Then I didn't know what to do. If my son had been fucking mauled, mate, I would have had them ring the ambulance, and me and Elijah would have gone phone, no phone, whatever. I don't care. That would have been what had happened. But because like I even looked at the scooter and I thought, oh my goodness, thank God there was actually space under it. So his whole body and his wellies probably stopped it from even sort of going, and me, because I literally grabbed. And even Elijah said to me afterwards when we were talking, he said, Mummy, I would grab the brakes, I was trying to stop it. And I think the four people who were there must have literally come in with me, and literally as I've gone to push it and lift it, they've come with me. So I certainly don't think I did it on my own. I have a feeling I didn't actually do anything, and it was one particular man who'd come down. And I'm so glad as well that they gave me the opportunity to quickly message Amber just to say, I haven't got my phone, I'm going to the hospital. And, and then it was like, hang on a minute, I've got nobody to go into my house. Then I panicked that I haven't got this situation with the beds. And I'm looking back at my son. So then I just decided to just run straight down the road to my friend's house, my Lily's dad and mum. And I just rang their bell. I said, I don't know where else to come. Now, the irony was that I'd had Elijah Shiloh in my hands. And even that he wasn't crying, he was okay. I was carrying him. He didn't want to walk.
And then literally the moment we said we got to where we are, that was it. He wanted to get down. He was like a totally different child. And I walked in as if there wasn't a problem. So they sort of looked at me as if to say, well, what's the drama then? And then they saw his lip. And then obviously normal parents and understanding me and my fears, they said, Kelly, you know you have to go to the ambulance. And I'm going, I know, but it's like time is ticking and it's getting on and I'm getting panicky because by this time it was like 8:20. And it was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to panic and then they're going to have a go at me, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to go, no, Kelly, we will explain that you've just gone here. You've got 4 witnesses there. The irony, the one place with no cameras, you know, I wouldn't be able to get in contact with the guy in the wheelchair, but I deliberately asked them. We tried numbers like you would in a car accident for insurance details, and of course I didn't have my phone, so between the lads they all obviously googled and then messaged over to Amber, so we have our details, and I've messaged to thank them so much from the bottom of my heart for just being at the right place at the right time. Heroes in my mind, and it brings me so much closer to the Lord because I just know like I know that even they said they weren't going to walk down that way, they were going to go over the bridge. And it was like, and I've had to text, and then it's worse because obviously Dean blocks me on his phone, so I've had to text Dean's number over to Amber, over to a couple of friends to try to get Dean to ring me. And then when I'm saying to him, Dean, like literally, I need you here with Elijah so I can focus on Shiloh and go. He's got to get checked 100%. I'm going at 8:00 in the morning. It's not a problem. That is, at the end of the day, he has hit his head. There's no cuts, there's no scrapes, anything like that, but there is a bit of a bump. And the fact is, he says that I've asked him, does anything hurt, anything, and obviously he's got a little lick here on his lip, and he has split it a little bit more because of being in EDS. And I thought, I know what's going to happen. We're going to be at A&E there, but it might be quick. We're then going to get stuck up there. We've then got to get a taxi back. I haven't got bus money. I haven't got taxi money. I thought, do I ring my mum? Do I ask my mum to come and sit? I thought I can't be doing with it because I know what she'll say, or you're in my life and it's drama already and all of this. And then I got Dean on the phone. It's like, what do you mean he's gone under a scooter? And it's like, and it's like, I don't need that sort of drama. I need people in my life that go, it's okay. And I'm going to come up to A&E with you. One day you won't have this trauma, Kelly, but while you have, I'm with you. The boys come first. And it's like, I need to know that Dean is going to turn up here now to make sure that he is here with Elijah, getting the rest of this painting done. He's paid tomorrow, so he can get some more paint and get this on with Elijah and have fun with Elijah while I go over to the doctors, make sure. And if I have to go up to the hospital and have any scans and checks, I can do that. If I have to stay at the hospital with him while they do that, I can do that because his dad's here and he's with Elijah, and it's not a problem, and I can focus. Or my mum, but my mum works anyway. But the thing is, it annoys me because it's drama to everybody, and it's like, in a crisis, mate, and it happens. It happens. In the times of having children, I really don't know many parents that haven't never ever had a visit to the doctors, hospital, A&E, nothing. I'd like to find parents that have got through 18 years of their lives, 21 years, the rest of their lives without at least. I know a lot of men that don't go, but that's not because they shouldn't go, but it's their pride that won't let them go. I've just found a photograph of me water skiing. Like. Mono skiing, darling, mono skiing. So anyway, I decided that we would just get back and get my phone. I was going to stay up at my friend's, and somebody else was going to run and get my phone while we waited for the ambulance at theirs. And I thought, this is going to be chaos. This is going to be a disaster. I can't cope with this. I haven't got the letter. I didn't get the letter that arrived today just to show, because it's nothing. You back on? We're back on it.
I'm coming back on. No, don't kick it out.